Good morning, everyone. We are grateful to see each of you today as the Lyceum Committee continues its celebration of Black History Month. Today, we will share in a theme, Black resistance and Black power through Black poetry. And we are delighted to have you here, and especially our guest who will speak in just a few moments. The words to lift every voice and sing, as I've shared before, was a poem of celebration and a poem of resistance before it was set to music. And so we are singing the words of James Weldon Johnson, a graduate of an HBCU, Atlanta University, who wrote these words in 1903. Once upon a time, we would stand, and we will stand, but it was required that even when we were in grade school, how many of you remember having to memorize the words? If so, raise your hand. Lift every voice and sing. And so would you stand today? We're going to sing one verse, words printed on the back of your program, and we will be led by our wonderful Elder Rachel Jones in the singing of this great poem set to music. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the whispering skies. Let it resound loud as the roaring sea. Sing a song full of the faith. Sing a song full of the faith that the darkness is gone. Sing a song full of the hope that the presence is close. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you. You may be seated. As a side note, before I bring Reverend Dr. James, if any of you saw the pregame show of the Super Bowl, something historic happened. Cheryl Lee Ralph was invited to sing Lift Every Voice and Sing, the first time that it has been rendered at a sports event of that magnitude, the Super Bowl. I think, yes, that is certainly worthy of applause. Everyone was not happy with that. If you've been following the fallout from that rendition, so kudos to the NFL for that. We invite the Reverend Dr. Benny James, Assistant Professor of Theological Studies, to come and offer our invocation, and he will be followed by another musical selection.
Grace and peace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Will you bow with me while we have a little talk with Jesus? Good morning, Father. Lord, you've been our dwelling places throughout the generations. And we stop and pause to say thank you for all you have done. There is none like you. So as we join together in prayer and this conversation with you, we ask your blessings, because I realize that everybody didn't have a good night. Everybody's day did not start well. And they could be a struggle right now. But you're Lord, you're God, you're the one that empowers us. So we ask for your strength in this hour, in this time that we're in. Father, it get difficult sometimes, man. And sometimes we get scared. Sometimes we just don't know. But we learn to trust you. So give us this day our daily bread. I ask you to bless everyone under the sound of a voice. And give them a blessing they don't even know how to ask you for. You know where we are. You know what we need. Bless our institution, our leadership, our students, and everyone that enter on this campus. Let this be a place of blessings. Bless everything that will take place in this room today. Bless our guests who are here to share with us. Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do. We humble that you would listen to us. And we will talk to you again in a little while. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Good morning. Our musical selection today will be rendered by one of our very own Voorhees University choir members. That in the name of Ms. McKaylin Dangle. Ms. McKaylin is a longtime member of the choir, and this is her final year as a senior. So we will welcome her with a round of applause.
Soon I will be done with the trouble of this world, trouble of this world, trouble of this world. Soon I will be done with the trouble of this world, going home to be with my Lord. No more weeping and wailing. No more be joy and praise. Going home to be with my Lord. Soon I will be done with your love this world. So love this world. With your love this world. Soon I will be done with the trouble of this world. Going home to be with my love.
Come on, let's give it up for beautiful. Thank you. And thank you, Elder Jones. How many of you remember memorizing poems in school? Raise your hand. Today, the poems we memorize are moments that students and young adults and the millennial generation call spoken word. When I was in the 5th grade, by way of my introduction to this young man, I had to memorize a Paul Laurence Dunbar poem. See my lady home last night. Jump back, honey, jump back. Held her hand and squeezed it tight. Jump back, honey, jump back. Heard her sigh, a little sigh. Jump back, honey, jump back. Love me, honey. Love me true. Love me as much as I love you. And she said, 'cause I do. Jump back, honey, jump back. That made me a star in the 5th grade. I think that was the last good poem I memorized. But today, we are so blessed, so fortunate in this Voorhees universe to have with us this amazing, magnificent poet and author, poet laureate, Emmy winner, one who has held audience with First Lady Michelle Obama, the late Rosa Parks, one who is worldwide loved and respected, especially in the city of Atlanta, metropolitan Atlanta, one who puts on an event for the ladies called 5 Men on a Stool. I think it's 4 or 5 men on a stool, all white. It is some spectacular event. He's also had another event called Chocolate Something. But that's an adult only event, all right? But we are blessed to have him. He is a longtime friend of mine. Of course, he knows Dr. Brown from his Atlanta days. And Mr. President, we are grateful to have the likes of Hank Stewart on our campus today, because his poetry reflects our very thing, Black resistance and Black power. So would you join me in giving a very warm and thunderous Voorhees University welcome to Poet Laureate Hank Stewart.
1776. That year had nothing to do with me. Now, some people celebrate, but my ancestors didn't come over here on a business trip or on vacation, waving from the deck of the ship, drinking champagne and sipping tea. There were no welcome committees or homeowners associations to help us get acclimated to the neighborhood. No one dropping off a pie, offering a cup of sugar. No one saying if you need to borrow some money, just ask. It's all good. There were no classes to help translate the language. There were no directional signs written in our native tongue. Just a shotgun if we tried to run in those trees. Those trees, they served as a horrible reminder from which we were hung. 1776, for some of us, that's not where it all began. To be stripped of everything and to be told for taxation and apportionment, you're only 3/5 of a man. Denied the opportunity to learn, beaten if caught trying to write or read. What did Dred Scott say that was the only rights they had, Mike didn't have? That was their creed. 1776, for some of us, is not where it all began. To be stripped of everything and to be told for taxation and apportionment, you're only 3/5 of a man. Denied the opportunity to learn, beaten if caught trying to write or read. What did Dred Scott say? No rights in which a white man is bound to respect. That was their creed. 1776. Long before us. Long before I guess how many jelly beans on a jar, bubbles in a bar of soap, not being able to sit on the front of a bus. It started long before not being able to register and vote. It started in 1619. Simply put, stolen and put on the vote. We were stacked like horns on that ship. Given minimum to eat, no clothing. Can you imagine a horrific ride over? I'm sure our ancestors who survived got very little, if any, sleep. We're taken from our native land. Our families were destroyed. Babies separated from their parents in 1619. Wait, was it 2019? 400 years later, don't ignore babies being put in cages. Families being destroyed while today's master don't want to pay for health care or livable wage. Okay, I digress. 1619, our ancestors, they were strong and they were brave. Some so brave they jumped from the ship knowing they couldn't swim. They knew death was better than being a slave. And in spite of it all, our ancestors continue to thrive. In spite of being created by laws like the Emancipation Proclamation, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, and the Voters' Right of 1965. In spite of needing Brown versus the Board of Education, our ancestors never lost their faith or their determination. So they built schools and colleges, became doctors, scientists, attorneys, and for us to be where we are today, we should all stand and applaud. But the real reason our ancestors survived because they knew their God was God. I mean, if it wasn't for 1619, America wouldn't be a fraction of what it is today. We tore the land, handled the cattle, only to be treated like prey. Our great-great-great-great-great-grandmothers nursed their babies, only to be violated in the middle of the night. The next morning, she had died as if nothing had even happened while preparing breakfast for master, the kids, and his wife. I mean, if you're going to tell it, then please tell the whole story. Not just bombs bursting there, we put our hands over our heart and we salute our glory. Talk about we fought on front lines and wars, dying for this country, trying to defend. If we only knew when we returned to this country, even as veterans, our blackness was still considered a sin. Talk about we needed papers just to walk down the street. Papers that said we were free, we had to protect those papers with everything we had, even while we were asleep. Talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of American history. How you stole a whole country and our people, and 400 years later, we're still fighting to be free. So what you help elect President Obama? What you allow people that's not even a drop of cold water in a hot bucket? I mean, what about him to tell Black Wall Street, the bombing of the 4 little girls? You think we should just throw our hands up and say, bump it? I know you said it's been 400 years. Why don't we move on, let it go? Why don't we just forget? But we remember everything else. 9/11, dead presidents, Holocaust. Yeah, I said it before I take it back. I ain't want to. You create laws and legislation. But you're consistently inconsistent because you turn around and you break your own rules. We're putting you on notice. We come to get what's rightfully ours with interest. And the way you treat us in 1619, it's more than 40 acres and a mule. Thank you. Thank you, President. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. My good friend Browns, Dr. Brown and Ms. Brown, thank you. And my long term, this goes back about 20-something years, right? Easy. I mean, I have so much respect for Dr. Mason that I hope you never ask me to rob a bank. Because I gotta do it. So the real task is how you get away. Because I have to. This is a long time friendship, and I'm honored that you would put your name on mine and your reputation, Doc. So thank you. I'm gonna try not to embarrass him. But there was one thing that he forgot to tell you all. It's very important. It's very important. I gotta tell you this. It's probably one of the most important things on my bio. It's the most important. When I was a young man, I had a drug problem. When I was a teenager, I had a drug problem. When I was a young boy, I had a drug problem. When I was a toddler, I had a drug problem. I asked my mom about the drug problem, and she said she had one too. You see, I was drugged to church, drugged to vacation Bible school, Wednesday night prayer service, and I'm still addicted today. And so whenever I'm not running the right things of God, I have my withdrawals. So y'all need to know that because that's who I am, and you'll hear that in the culture. And so you need to know what my base is, right? And so one of the things that I love about poetry is it's an opportunity to express yourself. It's an opportunity for you to tell people what you're thinking and how you feel in a rhyme or a rhythm, right? And so it doesn't matter how tall I am. What you need to know is that I stand for the right things. Now, I don't have a lot to say, but when I speak, you need to listen because I'm sure it will make a difference. Now, don't worry about how much money I have in my pockets. You see, it's my contribution to this world. That's what puts me in the category as a millionaire. And I'm not trying to be arrogant, brothers and sisters. No, I'm not trying to be arrogant, but you see, even when I'm in an empty room with my pride, the room is still full to capacity. You see, I'm a voice in this country. And yes, I deserve to be heard. I'm a black man. A black man, and they helped build this country. And for a while, the only place that allowed me to sit was in the rear of a room on the back of a bus. I'm a black man. A black man, and every time you stop at a traffic light, you know what you should think about me? Well, yes, my skin is dark. It is as dark as the berries that run wild fields now that my great-grandparents once picked cotton. My hands are rough. Didn't I tell you earlier that I built this country? I'm a black man. A black man, and I'm angry. I'm so angry that I'm going out to do something good. No, I'm not afraid. I fear absolutely no one but the Creator, so get out of my way. Yes, get out of my way if you're not going forward. Just say, I ain't got time to retire. My daughter needs a father. My son needs a role model. And my wife needs a man. Didn't I tell you to get out of my way if you're not going forward? There's so many brothers in my help because maybe they're hooked on drugs and there's homeless people that needs to be shown just a little bit of love. You better get out of my way if you're not going forward so that I can make a difference. You say, well, man, I'm the man. And thank God for my black man. I used to live off Buford Highway in Atlanta. There's an area a little north of the city. And I'll never forget, I was back in the late 80s. And I came out of my apartment one beautiful spring morning. It was beautiful. Just a beautiful spring morning. It had been a cold, blissful winter. So I came out of my apartment just to enjoy the beauty of the day. And I was on the second level. This other guy came out of his apartment. And we nodded. Brothers, y'all know what a nod is, right? A nod is a whole conversation. That's how you doing, hello, how's the family? I mean, just a nod, right? So we nodded. And this car drove by, and the guy in the apartment adjacent to mine knew the guy, so he whistled for the guy, yelled for the guy, shouted for the guy to stop. And the guy stopped. He yelled, and he said, hey man, where you going? And the guy yelled back up, nowhere. The guy in the apartment said, hold up, let me go with you. Hey man, where you going? Nowhere, hold up, let me go with you. There's a whole lot of people who are not going forward. And they get hooked up with somebody and it changes their whole life. One of my favorite quotes is by Miles Monroe. It said, the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but the greatest tragedy in life is to be given life and not know why you live. Ooh, I said something there. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, young people, but the greatest tragedy in life is to be given life and not know why you live. To wake up and recognize that you got 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 4 weeks in a month, 12 months in a year, multiply that time, the number of years you've been on this earth, and you have no idea why you live. Don't let anybody, don't get in the car with nobody who's going nowhere. Mark Twain said the two greatest days of your life are the days that you're born and the day that you realize why you were born. Now, I personally believe there are 3 great days. The day you were born, the day that you were born again, and the day that you realize why you were born again. But that's just me. The great philosopher, Steve Harvey, said, your career is what you're paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. Young people, have you found your calling? November 7, 1991. You know the story. When you know the story. Prince, you know the story. November 7, 1991. I was a manager at UPS making more money than my mom and my daddy put together. I was 27 years old. I was up in mode, and I was getting ready to be promoted again. And I came home. I was working third shift. I came home that morning around 7 o'clock. I pedaled around the house, washing dishes, folded some clothes, took a shower, went to bed, woke up around 5 o'clock because I needed to get ready to go back to work. And I said, let me just turn on the news. And the news was the news. murder, carjacking, inflation, all the typical things you hear on the news. We were in the Gulf War at that time. The weather came on, floods and tornadoes. It was horrible that day. I'm a sports junkie. I like football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, tennis, race car driving. I love it all because I love the strategy of sports. That was the day that Magic Johnson declared he was HIV positive. I had never in my life seen the news so horrible. Never. Because usually if the news is bad, the weather would lighten it up or the sports would lighten it up. It was bad from start to finish. I started doodling on a sheet of paper, and the very first poem that God ever blessed me with was a piece called Can You Hear Me? And it said, Lord, there's times when nothing is going right. Lord, there's times I can't find anything good to talk about. Lord, there's times when I cry. I wonder, do you hear me? Lord, there's times I've fallen. And I wonder, did you see me? Can you hear me, Lord? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just give me a sign. And very softly, he spoke to my heart. He told me about Calvary. And this is what he said. He said, Hank, do you know they slapped me across my face because I heard your cry? They pierced me in my side because I heard your cry. They spit on me because I heard your cry, and I died on Friday because I heard your cry. But I rose on a Sunday because I heard your cry. Now my child, you have it all simply because I heard your cry. First thing I wrote, I start writing every single day. I had just discovered my purpose. I know why I'm here now. I know why I'm here. And so when you plug into your purpose, I can tell you, I don't need an alarm clock to get up in the morning. My purpose wakes me up in the morning. Now, my alarm might remind me to get up, but my purpose wakes me up, right? I get up with a purpose every single day. I get up with a zest and a zeal. We're friends on social media, so we kind of connect and we get an opportunity. And it's so important. Listen to me, young people, it's so important to hook your wagon with somebody who's going someplace. Have friends like this. That's why I travel with Gwen Mason and I have great friends, right? Hook your, my pastor used to say, if a drunk hang out with a drunk, neither one of them ever be sober. If you hanging out with someone who ain't going nowhere, it's not gonna be long before you won't have your brakes on. Hook up with somebody. You all can change the world. I'm looking at this. You think you're small. It was only 12 disciples that changed the world. You don't need a lot. You just need a commitment. You just need to commit it, right? One man or woman who's committed is far greater than 1,000 with interest. Ooh, let me say that again. One man or woman who's committed is far greater than 1,000 with interest. You want students who are committed to being good students, right? Not who are interested. Because if you're committed, you're going to graduate. Yeah. If you're interested, you're going to just come. Find your purpose here. Hook up with somebody who's committed. You come from good stock. No, I'm sorry. You come from great stock. I'm sorry. You come from the best of stock. Stop acting average. You're not average. Only the strong survive. I was in a conversation with who he is, you should look him up. So I was in a conversation, Skip, one with Dr. Vivian. We were at, not Dr. Vivian, it was with Helen Butler, Jemida Orange, who just transitioned, and Miss Orange. We were sitting around talking about Dr. Vivian. And Dr. Vivian, you should look up. President Obama gave him a Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's your friend, right? It's one of your fraternity brothers. And just he was an amazing man. And we were just talking about how long-winded he was. If you ask him a question, he was going to give you a 17-minute answer on the question. And he's very long-winded, very long. And I used to say, "Ooh, his answers are long." But then I started to keep living. Because the more you live, the more you understand. And his answers was wrapped in a whole lot of living. He was wrapped in a whole lot of living. And so when George Zimmerman was acquitted for killing Trayvon Martin, the SCLC went to Florida to protest the verdict. Jemida Orange, John Taylor, and Dr. Vivian. And they were riding to go and get something to eat after one of the protests. And while they were riding, Jemida Orange, John Taylor was talking about how beautiful the trees were in Florida. And they kept talking about how beautiful these trees were. And it must have just really upset Dr. Vivian, because he said, those trees don't look that good to me. And when he said those trees don't look that good to me, and I heard it prompt this entire poem. And the poem is entitled, Those Trees. In the car riding through Alabama on our way to Mississippi, my friends and I, we were talking about everything. Well, riding, we were enjoying the music on the radio, Marvin Gaye, Sam Cooke, A Change is Gonna Come. Some of the songs my friends and I even tried to sing. Great conversation. The topics range from politics, religion, money. We've been talking about Muhammad Ali being one of the best athletes of all time. Nothing like a great debate. All we need was some good food made of all of wine. But as we were riding, we had this incredible view. Now, one of my friends began to talk about the beautiful trees, the leaves, the colors, and the more one friend talked, the more another friend withdrew. Now, one friend said, look at those maples, that magnolia, that oak, look at that dogwood. And I don't remember who, but someone said, shoot, trees like that, they don't always grow in the hood. Now, my friend who was drawn from the conversation said, I can't take it anymore. They caught all of us by surprise. We didn't know if he wasn't feeling well. Did we need to stop and get him something from the corner store? Finally, he said, those trees, they don't look that good to me. When I look at those trees, that's not what I see. He said, when I look at those trees, I see our bodies have been lynched and set afire. When I look at those trees, I see a rope thrown across those trees, around black people's necks and then pulled up high. When I look at those trees, I see our people tied to that magnolia and beaten inches from their lives. When I look at those trees, I see a father that's been hung in the presence of his children and his wife. He said, I don't look at those trees like a place I can take a basket and a blanket and lay up under the stars, or a place that I can lean back and read a good book or write my memoir. He says, when I look at those trees, and in the fall, the leaves, the colors are turning amber. What I really see is a tree that just inspired an entire family. And they gather around those trees like we were their recreation. Families coming from far and near to watch like they were on spring break on vacation. Since when I look at those trees, I can hear the screaming. Then all of a sudden, I don't hear screaming anymore. Another life is gone. Those trees, they still hurt me down to my core. Those trees, they bring back memories, bad memories. They make me want to cry. Because those trees, they make me ask why. Those trees took away so many hopes and so many dreams. Yet those trees, they had a theme. If those trees could talk, they would say, he was innocent. It wasn't even him. They ignored all of the evidence and made judge and jury by names. If those trees could call rolls, which names would they say, here I hung? Would it be Emmy, Calvin, Henrietta Bertha, Sandra Bland, Fernando, George Floyd, Rihanna? Y'all know that's where the song Strange Fruits come from? My friend says, that's not the purpose God created those trees for us to be chased, caught, and hung like prey. The real purpose of those trees is to provide oxygen away. He says, when I look at those trees on a hot summer day, I wish I could only see them in shade. And instead, I look at see those trees, I said, white men on the road with sheets over his head. Those trees took mothers from daughters, fathers from sons. When you look at those trees, you see beauty. When I see them, I want to run from those trees. The pieces entitled those trees. When you're in your purpose, everything sounds poetic. Everything, every conversation. You know, Dr. Dorothy Heights, and I just tell you, sister, I just want to applaud you all. You all are phenomenal. You can even clap for yourself. I'm telling you, y'all are amazing, right? I mean, y'all really are. I mean, when we look at Georgia, if it wasn't for black women, they saved Georgia, which ultimately saved the world. You know, just in the voting block and how it worked. And I'm reminded of a quote by Dr. Dorothy Heights that said, black women seldom do what they want to, but they always do what they have to. Dr. Janelle Cole said, you can educate a man, you educate an individual. You educate a woman, you educate a nation. Dr. Yusuf Ben-Jackanen says she's dipped in chocolate. She's bronzed in elegance, enameled in grace, toasted in beauty. My Lord, she must be a black woman. Eleanor Roosevelt had to be talking about a sister when she said a woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until you put in hot water. I read one of the most interesting quotes. It said to be born female is a matter of birth, to be a woman is a matter of age, but to be a lady is a matter of choice. Strong women wear their pain like they wear their stilettos. No matter how much they hurt, you still only see the beauty in them. Right? I mean, you all are just amazing. And there was There was this college professor who wrote on the board for his students, and he wanted them to all punctuate this sentence. It was a real easy sentence. It said, "A woman without her man is nothing." A woman without her man is nothing. All the men got Dr. Hawkins very, very boldly and said, "A woman, comma, without her man, comma, is nothing." This sister got up and she said, "A woman, colon, without her, comma, man is nothing." Y'all in college, some of y'all should have caught that. Y'all should have caught that. A woman, colon, without her, comma, man is nothing. And so any brother who think they did it by themselves, I'm here to tell you, you didn't. You all have it. Poem is simply entitled "It." When she walked into the room, there was something very special about her. Something really unique. Not the kind of special you see a stranger. You see, she has what we would call it. And her it is extraordinary. It's got us tripping. I must admit, what is it? Well, I'm glad you asked. But let me suggest something, fellas. If you ever see it and it's available, do yourself a favor and make her your wife. You see, it is confidence. It's an air. It is pride. It knows how to handle adversity. It takes things in stride. Now I'm talking about it. It cannot be inherited. Nor is it willed, and it's not genetic. Just because your mother had it doesn't mean that it will grace you. I promise you, I've seen some ladies before they had it, and they didn't have a clue. Now I'm still talking about it. It knows when to speak, and it knows when not to say a word. It is like the dive of chocolate. You see, it is preferred. It knows which fork to use. It frequents plays. It doesn't raise hell. Instead, it chooses to pray. You see, when she smiles, you see it. When she laughs, you hear it. When she tells you something, you believe it. When she hurts, you feel it. When she dances, you want to move with it. See, a man wants to love it. He wants to hold it. He wants to cherish it. He wants to protect it. Every man knows his life is incomplete without it. You see, for it, she is a prototype. It's like she doesn't walk, she glides, and around it is this light. Now, you can't find it in the special section of the store. You can't order it offline. And trust me, there'll be no articles about it from the press. But one thing for sure, it sure knows how to wear a black dress. It can be defined by height, age, shape, color, size, or any of those things. It could be single, divorce. It might be wearing a ring. You see, it is all or none. You can't have just a little bit of it. It is classy, sophisticated, and elegant, whichever way it stands or the way it sits. Now, how many ladies in here believe that it? Raise your hands. Put your hands down because it cannot be claimed. It is on. It doesn't even know hands. It is just that plain. Now, there's no classes somewhere you can take it. And you can't study it in the manual. It is not a membership-based club. You can't pledge for it. There's no fees for the manual. It is a lot of things. But it gives more than it takes. For all that it is, one thing, you can't fake it. And you just tell your fellows, you can never make an ant in it. Thank you. Y'all okay?
That was good.
Like that? All right. So, I want to, first of all, I just want to thank when she's my everything, so I have to give her a hug and all, and she makes sure I'm on point and it makes sense, and she'll tell me the truth. Like when I get in the car, I've been judged. I have my grade when I go home. But it's nothing like you need somebody like that. You need somebody who's going to tell you the truth. And for instance, again, I thank you, but thank you, Dr. Hawkins, for having me on this campus and hopefully get an opportunity to input some of the young people. And I see the former Miss Hawk, but yeah, she formed it. She was the.
Okay, Dallas, before you take the 79.
79.
Wow.
And it's just, but you know what? I want to applaud you. I mean, please give the vocalists a round of applause. You were hitting those keys. I can feel it. I can feel it. You know, it's just spot on. We're mourning the loss of a couple people that was very close to us. For instance, we're kind of lost right now. But I have a mantra that I live by, and it says, it's our time, it's our turn. But if we don't do our part, it's our fault. Say that again. It's our time. It's our turn. If we don't do our part, it's our fault. Let me make it more personal. It's my time. It's my turn. If I don't do my part, it's my fault. And so this world is waiting for something from you that only you can do. I can't do it. God can't do it. God can't do it. Your mama can't do it. Your best friend. There's something that God has called each and every one of you all to do that nobody can do but you. How exciting is that? Like, I know I'm the baddest poet. Like, I just know that. Like, I know I'm called to do this. Like, I'm in my comfort zone. Right? There is something that God has called you to do and write and say and speak or operate or whatever your major is. And I hope your major and your calling are one and the same. Because a lot of times, we chase money, but it's not our call. And then we get lost. When you're in one with your calling, it's a whole different day. I hope you find it. And sometimes you have to get away from people to get, you can't be around. Sometimes you need some quiet time to hear God talk to you. Just by yourself. I ride in the car a lot of times. I'm reciting poetry, but a lot of times I have nothing, no music or anything, because that's my time to commune. And you want to get away from some of your friends, sometimes the peanut gallery, sometimes it's too loud. And you need to get away and make sure that you know you're in your calling, not before you get too far down the road and you have to turn back around. That's the beauty of GPS right now. That's the beauty, because it'll take you there. When you connect with God, it'll take you right into your calling. And your life is going to be so much better. I say this all the time. I got friends who are much richer than I am, but I have more money than I am, but I'm richer than they are. They got a lot more money. But I wouldn't trade the walk that I've had as a poet, have the opportunity to speak for Michelle Obama, Rosa Parks, the first poet to ever grace the main stage of the Essence Festival, McDonald's commercials, Fox 5 commercials, won an Emmy, a Promax, a Gabby Award. Got a piece that's getting ready to go into the Smithsonian with the secretary of the Smithsonian. Have worked with some of the most amazing civil rights legends. Had an opportunity to go on tour, the Legacy Series tour, and speak at colleges all around. I'm in my purpose. I'm not trying to figure it out. I know where I'm going. I know who I am. Do you? We're in Black History Month, right? And I could talk to you about Dr. King, who graduated from high school at 15 years of age, college at 19, Morehouse, right? He had a master's at 22, a PhD at 26. I could talk to you about that. You already know that. You already know that. I could talk to you about, Ms. Rosa Parks. Y'all know about her igniting one of the most amazing boycotts of all time. 381 days. Put a pin there, 381 days. Not a week, not 2 weeks, not 2 months, not 6 months, not 7 months, not a year, but 381 days. Are you that committed? I can talk to you about all the white folk who were part of the civil rights movement, Father Reed, Bala Russa, and Traney and Goodman and all of that. I can talk to you about, but y'all know about that. I can talk about the sisters who are part of the civil rights, but y'all gonna do a little bit more of that next month, right? When you dive into women's history, we talk about Miss Coretta Scott King, Rita Sanders, and and Evelyn Lowry, and Viola Russa, but so many amazing women, Diane Nash, so many amazing women who really were a major part of the movement. As a matter of fact, Ms. Orange told me one time, Dr. Skip, she says, all these preachers who claim to be a part of the civil rights movement, she said it was so many preachers that were a part of it, why they need women and children on the front line. So the women were just as an intricate part. But what history will you make? I'm gonna sit down so you can ask me some questions, but I'm gonna say this. What history will you make? What history will you make? When you leave this college, this campus, will the campus even know you were here? There are three things there's three things that you don't remember. Right? There's one or three things about each one of the students here. One or three, tell me if I'm wrong, okay? What's your name? I can't hear you. Oh, Riley? One or three questions gonna be asked about Riley. You're gonna have in your head. I can't wait for Riley to leave because she raised so much hell, I can't wait for her to get off this campus. Or, Riley was such an amazing student, I hate to see her leave. Or, who was Riley? Who was Riley? You have an opportunity, y'all have an opportunity to change this community around you. Make sure there ain't no paper on the grass when you walk. This is your institute. That's right. When you walk around the community, this is yours. Make sure nobody's doing anything wrong. This is the institute that you believe in and growing. You all have an opportunity to change this community. Dr. Skip talking about how I change, everybody I've known around. You got a chance to change your family. Go home differently than when you came. Be an input, make an input. So the last piece I'm gonna do for you is a piece that I wrote the same day that Dr. Vivian passed and Congressman John Lewis, they passed on the exact same day. Two legends, two civil rights legends. And I told y'all, it's my time, it's my turn. If I don't do my part, it's my fault, right? So I wrote about it in this piece of something entitled, I Accept. What are you giving me? What are you putting in my hand? What you're giving me has just altered, it has changed my plans. Why are you looking at me like that? There's this look in your eyes. Am I even qualified to accept this? Would there be a ceremony? Do I need cap and gown? Need I be baptized? I know you're tired. I know you deserve rest. How can I say no with all that you poured into me, all that you've invested? I'll take it. Okay, I take the baton, I carry the torch. You've earned the right to relax, the right to sit on the porch. I accept the baton and all the responsibilities that it holds. I accept the challenge to stand tall and bold, to fight for justice, to stay on the wall. I'll do what needs to be done. Yes, I accept the call. And integrity will stand with me, even if I have to stand alone to speak truth no matter who's wrong. You fought the good fight. You completed your assignment. Pass me the baton, our souls are aligned. I'll sacrifice my body just like you. I'll stand or kneel against racism, sexism, discrimination, regardless of the hue. I'll get up early and I'll stay up later. When it's my time to be tested, just like you, I won't take the bait. I accept the baton because it's my turn. I accept all of our ancestors who were raped, beaten, those who were burned. I accept it because before midnight, December 31st, 1862, our ancestors were praying to God on their knees. I accept all of our ancestors who were hung from those trees. I accept because dogs and warlords didn't turn you around. I accept because our ancestors spoke up and spoke out, even when they didn't know the language. They didn't know a person, place, or a thing was in now. I accept because at the bottom of that bridge, we're beaten and left for dead. Broken bones, tear gas, blood dripping down your head. I accept because you sat when you had tired feet. I accept because the only way to walk into that hotel was through the back door, and it was only to wash dishes, cook on the bed, change the sheets. I accept because America was built on the land that our ancestors toiled. I stand because our ancestors' blood fertilized these soils. So if it rains, I stand. If it's hot, no fan, I stand with the weight on my shoulders. The foundation that I stand on makes me bold. I stand for those who didn't get a chance. I stand for those who died because a white woman said a need took a glance. I even stand for those who look like me but may have forgotten, although our ancestors were side by side in the fields picking cotton. I stand for seniors. I stand for children. I fight for one. I advocate for millions. I stand for those ancestors' dreams of freedom they would hold fast. I stand for so many of our ancestors who died for this country, and the flag was never flown for them to half staff or half mast. I stand for those living under bridges and sleeping on makeshift pallets. I stand because our ancestors knew our voices in the census, it was in our vote, it was in the booth, it was on the ballot. So yea, though I walk through the valleys and the shadows of death, it's about others not alone, about self. Give me the baton I carry with pride. I won't let the torch burn out, the baton hit the ground, even when I'm tired. You train me. Now I'm one of your lieutenants. I take the baton from my ancestors, so one day I can pass it to our descendants. I accept, do your priesthood and title. I accept.
I think applause is great, but in the field and world of spoken poetry, and there we go. Amazing. Do you know why they did that? Why? So the history of the snap, anybody know the history of the snap? So the history is back in the Harlem Renaissance time period, just like now you have people who live above residential areas, right? So they lived above them in their workplace kind of communities. And so they would have open mics. And so instead of clapping to wake up the tenants who were above, they would snap. So that was their way of giving them an applause or standing ovation. Wow. Yeah, just so they.
I didn't know that.
I got one thing on you because I don't have much.
Well, so the first time I saw it, and I think American culture saw that, was a movie called Love Jones, which really did probably more than any recent movie to push spoken word poetry and all.
Hey, David, can I be your slave? I got to admit, okay, I'm sorry.
How many of you have seen Love Jones? Raise your hand.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, then this weekend you need to go to Netflix or something and find it. It's worth it. Neil Long and Lorenzo Tate. Exactly. Yeah, you need to go ahead and see that. So let's open it up. Do we have any questions? We have witnessed a remarkable pouring out of the Spirit. Yes, young man, would you please stand? What's your question? Let me bring the mic to you.
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's past 12 o'clock now. So, but not past 12 o'clock, but it's nearing. But thank you first of all for the information that you shared. I just wanted to ask, like, all the accomplishments and all the stuff that you put together. How many hours of sleep do you get on average? And how hard do you be having to work? You know what I'm saying, balancing all this stuff.
It's called time management, right? It's called time management. So again, and that's a great question. So today is day 2,240 straight workout days for me. Have not missed a day of working out in 6 years. So here's what I do. So this morning I got up before I joined, I got on my elliptical, right? And so what I do is I start reciting poetry while I'm on my elliptical, right? So it's time management. So it's utilizing my time. When I cut my grass in the summer, I love cutting my grass because I get a chance to do three things. I get a chance to work out because I put a weight vest on. I'm cutting my grass, so I'm manicuring my lawn, and I'm studying my poetry, right? So, so it's utilizing the time, it's time utilization. So I get my sleep. I get probably about 6 good hours, and then we get up and you're ready to go, and again, because you're on your purpose, so you know what you're trying to do. Okay.
Coach, how you doing, sir? Thank you for being here. So I'm also a poet. I noticed that you don't have a traditional AB rhyme scheme or the iambic pentameter that a lot of poets have. How did you develop your style initially, and then who did you study from if you did, as far as writing poetry? Because we don't, writers have certain writers that have been historical, but there aren't a lot of poets, especially in our culture, that a lot of people can take from. So
I never even liked poetry. Wow. When I was growing up, I wanted to be an architect. I always thought writing poetry had to be weak, and I know I wasn't weak, so I didn't like it, right? And so my style is God.
That's the only way. I mean, because when the first piece that came out, I knew about the Mayas and Nikki's and all of that. I started studying them more afterwards. But I really tried to stay away from anybody's style. One was fear of plagiarism, and the other was let's just do what God wants me to do. You know, when you turn on the radio, there's so many different sounds that you hear. Dr. Mason corrected me about Earth, Wind, and Fire one time. You got the Earth, Wind, and Fire. You got the Luther sound over here. You got, you got so many different sounds. And so what I'm happy about, what I'm proud of, is that God gave me my own style, I guess, if there's a such thing. And so, but had an opportunity to meet Nikki Giovanni, to hear her say, I enjoy your work, and people like that. It just lets me know that I'm my own person and I have my own style, and I do, write in the way. Now, what motivates me, I've been commissioned to write. I wrote a piece for Coca-Cola for the Essence Festival back in 2003. That piece was bad, but my favorite type of poems are the poems that I'm inspired to write. Inspiration to me is just, when I'm inspired, like the poem I accept, or the man, or whatever, those pieces were inspired.
Question?
Personally, I'm a poet too, and I also do criminal justice, but I don't really know what I want to do. And you talked about purpose and calling. How did you know for sure that was what you wanted to do? And have you ever been conflicted?
Because when I was working, and when I was working at UPS, my passion pushed me out of my job. My passion pushed me out of it. When I was writing, I was sharing my work, and all of a sudden I started getting more calls for poetry than there was at work. And so I just started setting the table to make sure that I could live off of it. So I made sure my bills were paid off. I didn't have, and start going back. Now you're young enough that you're in, so you got to find out, which one, but you don't have to choose. I mean, in criminal justice, you can write about stuff. What's Brian Stevenson? You familiar with Brian Stevenson? You should look him up. He's a criminal justice poet. To be really, he is. I mean, am I correct? You should look at his speeches. Just go to his TED Talks are phenomenal. But he started the Lyceum Museum in Montgomery. A phenomenal attorney, and I think he's a poet. When you listen to him speak, Dr. Lowry was a poet to me. I don't know if y'all saw the inauguration where Dr. Lowry did the closing inauguration for President Barack Obama in 2008. Some of y'all probably were just young, so I keep remembering. But that was a strong closing. Go back and listen to that. So poetry, I think, it's something that you can enjoy, and you can still do your other job if you want to. And it just depends on where you want to go. But I was never conflicted. Once I started writing, I knew what my purpose was. It was like a light came on for me. It was never a conflict. It was never conflicting for me. I didn't have any choice but to do it, because I knew I was going to be miserable. And I haven't looked back and regretted not one day of it.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Well, if
not, so I really want you all to be mad, though. I want y'all to stay mad, right? Dr. Lowry was mad, Dr. King was mad, Ms. Clayton was mad. I want y'all to stay mad. Please stay mad, young people. Be mad. Be mad in the morning. Be mad in the evening. Be mad on holidays and weekends. Stay mad. Y'all need to be mad. MAD. It's an acronym, making a difference. Motivated and determined. Be double mad, motivated and determined to make a difference. Mad. Thank you.
Let us thank this great poet, named Stewart. Before I do a few announcements in closing, I am going to invite the distinguished president, the 10th president of Voorhees University, to come and make remarks and a presentation. Let's receive President Hopkins.
Thank you, Dr. Mason. I'll start by co-narrating with Dr. Mason about Lift Up Your Voice and Sing. And the first speaker, our first commencement speaker at Voorhees University was Congressman Jim Clyburn. And it's Congressman Clyburn that actually is trying to make Lift Every Voice and Sing the United States national hymn. So we have it, so the part of the problematic is that people that don't want to hear the poem anyway, they say, well, we already have an anthem. Why do we need another anthem? Y'all call it the Black National Anthem, keep it that way. So he is trying to advance Lift Every Voice and Sing to become the United States national hymn. So when we refer to it, I'd like for us to already start referring to it and just start putting the plan in motion that we'll call it the national hymn. That's what it's going to be.
Can I just say, Dr. Blackburn, if it wasn't for him, I mean, y'all familiar with the jewel you have in South Carolina?
Oh,
Because if it wasn't for him who really got Biden back on the right track, right? You wouldn't even have Biden or Kamala Harris, as he said that we need a sister, and which also gives us the first Black female on the Supreme Court justice. Right. And all that happened because of the turnaround in South Carolina first. Y'all know, that's how powerful South Carolina was to the overall election. Am I correct?
You are absolutely correct.
So,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing. I'll say, South Carolina is wonderful, but you got to watch those Georgia boys. So we appreciate you all, and thank you so much. We appreciate your friendship and with Dr. Brown and Dr. Mason and Mrs. Brown. So we thank you for being here. So come up and join me, please, would you? The Emmy Award-winning, best-selling author, poet laureate, Mr. Hank Stewart. Let's again give him another round of applause. Yes, thank you, Ricky, and give him an applause. Yes, when we have someone of this caliber, we've got to know what we have on our campus. Let me say it again. Emmy Award-winning, best-selling author, poet laureate, man of God. If I didn't know you, I don't know if you're ordained or not, but you might as well be. So thank you all. Thank you again for being here. Absolutely. And as I mentioned to you briefly, I listened intensely. Typically, I don't consider myself a groupie, but I think I am, because I was listening to your YouTube artistic presentations, and I was absolutely amazed and inspired by the strength, power, and encouragement illuminated by your message. Those messages. I was moved. I was like, I don't know this dude, but this brother's bad to the bone, as my provost would say. So I was convinced that you would be even more impacting and dynamic in person, and lo and behold, sir, you did not disappoint. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the faculty, our staff, and students, please know that the university community is honored to have you share your anointed craft with us today. As we continue to revel in Black History Celebration Month, we so appreciate you and your contributions to Black history, and say to you indeed, sir, you are Black history. You are Black resistance. You are Black power. Thank you so much for sharing today. Please come again. And one more time, let's hear it for him again. So I do take this time to recognize the Voorhees University family. And I will begin by just taking a moment to just revel in this moment with this history of having our, and in fact, it's Dean Chanel Hindi that taught me that when I found out that she was a Voorhees University, at the time Voorhees College queen, she said, oh no, sir, Dr. Hopkins, once a Voorhees queen, always a Voorhees queen. So I would ask that all of the Voorhees queens, would you please stand, including our current one? Would you all please stand? Look at this, this is amazing. And we certainly have to get a photo of all of the queens. I'd love to have a photo with all of the queens, please. Certainly, will all of the white and true blue alumni around this room, would you please stand? All alumni, would you please stand? Will the world-class faculty and dedicated staff, and I'll continue to say it again, we can't do any of this without you. Would you please stand to be recognized? Thank you. Will our amazing students, the flame keepers of Black resistance, Black history, and our intelligentsia. Students, please stand to be honored. offer a special thank you to Ms. Dangle, that wonderful solo. Would you please stand? And please know that you got it. And please know that in May, when you leave, we're going to say, we are certainly going to miss her. Absolutely. And Riley, we're going to say the same thing about you as well. Thank you so much. And Elder Rachel Jones, we will not, you've got to stand as well. We thank you for all that you do. You are amazing. Thank you for your anointing, and we just so appreciate you. Absolutely. I certainly would like to recognize the Lyceum Committee and certainly our illustrious chair, Dr. Skip Mason, who knows everybody and has them right in his, I think he has them right in his phone, everybody in the country. But would you please stand, members of the Lyceum Committee, would you please stand? You folks, and Mr. Jefferson's in the back, so we thank you. He's hiding in the back. He's one of those ones that do all the work and hides in the back. But we thank you, Mr. Jefferson, for all you do with special events. And I do want to seriously say thank you, sir, because you make some wonderful programs. And sometimes you're so busy running around and in the back that we forget to recognize you. So thank you and all of the Lyceum Committee. Certainly, I recognize the Voorhees University Executive Cabinet and Senior Leadership, Dr. Demira Hightower Mitchell, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Ms. Diana Gary, Vice President for Business and Fiscal Affairs, Ms. Charlene Johnson, Vice President for Student Affairs and Athletics, Dr. Prince Brown, Vice President for University Advancement, Dr. Corey Amaker, Vice President for Strategic Planning, Assessment and Technology, and in their absence, Mr. Adrian West, Vice President for Enrollment Management, and Mr. Corey Smith, Dean of the Chapel and Spiritual Engagement, and we continue to pray for them as they heal. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been remarkable. I think every week we just take it up another notch. And please, just know, Poet Laureate, you have been amazing to us. Your presence has just really been amazing to us, and we certainly thank you. You've taken us to greater heights. So Lyceum Committee, next week you better go up another notch. So I want to see what you're going to do. Thank you all so very much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before you leave, a couple of announcements. Today, on the second floor of the Wright Potts Library, Professional Photo Headshot Day. So if you need a headshot, and many of you do need one for future use, please go and see Mr. Mayers on the second floor, and they will be shooting professional photos today. Also, from 12 to 2 on the second floor of the library, we have the Voorhees University Micro Career Fair. Meet recruiters, apply for internships, career networking opportunities, bring resume, business casual attire. On next Thursday, for our closing Black History Month celebration, we have a wonderful celebration that looks at the history of Greek letter organizations known as the Divine Nine, fraternities and sororities, and how they met the challenge of resistance in this country. What will augment that is that you will be able to meet the members of the administration, the cabinet, the faculty, and staff who are members of the Divine Nine. We have a treat in store for you. We are encouraging you to come. They're pulling out tight sweaters and shirts that they haven't worn in 15 or 20 years. They're fasting and dieting, trying to get into that so they can look like they did some years ago. I've been digging. I found some pictures that are going to just knock your socks off of some of our folks here. So Black Resistance, the Divine Nine, next Thursday at 11 o'clock here in Massachusetts Hall. And we invite you to be a part of that. We are excited about March because March will celebrate the remarkable history and action of women, and particularly Black women. And we will be kicking off the Women's History Month celebration the first Thursday in March, and we'll tell you more about that. All hearts and minds clear. We invite Reverend James to come now and to close us out with benediction.
Will you all stand? Thank you again, Mrs. Stewart. God bless you. May the blessing of God go before you and overshadow you and direct your path, and that you'll walk in a good place, a safe place, and a well place. The Lord be with you. Go in peace.